talking about animal cruelty in slaughterhouses and also in the dairy industry. A wise woman named Linda McCartney once said, if slaughterhouses had glass walls, everybody would be a vegetarian. It takes 25 minutes to turn a live steer into steaks at the modern slaughterhouse where Ramon works. For 20 years, his post was second leaguer, a job that entails cutting hocks off carcasses as they roll past at a rate of 309 per hour. The cattle were supposed to be dead before they got to Monroe, but too often they weren't. They blink, they make noises, he said softly. The head moves, the eyes are wide, and they look around. On bad days, he said, dozens of animals reached the station clearly alive and conscious. Some would survive as far as the tail cutter, the belly ripper, the hide puller. They died, piece by piece. Under a 23-year-old federal law, slaughtered cattle and hogs first must be stunned, rendered insensible to pain with a blow to the head or an electric shock, but in an overtaxed plant, the law is sometimes broken, with cruel consequences for animals as well as workers. The government took no action against a Texas beef company that was cited 22 times in 1998 for violations that included chopping hooves off live cattle. According to the USDA Food Safety Inspection Service, which is responsible for meat inspections, says that it has not relaxed its oversight. In January, the agency ordered a review of 100 slaughterhouses. Fear and pain causes animals to produce hormones that damage meat and cost companies tens of millions of dollars a year to discard products, according to industry estimates. Preventing the kind of suffering is officially a top priority for the USDA's inspection service. By law, a human slaughter violation is among a handful of offenses that can result in an immediate halt to production. It costs the meat packer hundreds or even thousands of dollars each idle minute. My three main points today are rules on handling animals for slaughter, methods of slaughter, and also milk production waste, and cow's milk versus human milk. The breakdown of each animal slaughtered per year is 38 million cows and calves, 95 million hogs, 5 million sheep and goats, 278 million turkeys, 20 million ducks, and over 7 billion chickens. The average cow should live at least 20 years, but because they are not allowed to have a life in a slaughterhouse, the average life is 6 to 8 years, and sometimes they only live to 14 months. The amount that animals that are raised annually for slaughter is 30 times more than the total population in the U.S., and also more than the number of humans in the world. The rules about slaughter to animals is no torturing or subjecting them to unnecessarily pain and suffering, and also no keeping them in cages that they are not allowed to move around in. One of the biggest issues in the animals in the slaughterhouse is that the animals are not supposed to be subjected to or exposed to their own kind being slaughtered, and oftentimes slaughterhouses expose them to the cattle mainly, being drugged brutally over the ground and watching them being slaughtered. And that's one of the violations that happened with Texas. Yet the slaughterhouse over and over repeat this daily. Transporting animals should be like humans. They should have their own space and also being responsible and taken care of. In order to get the cattle to move from trailer to stockyard, they put either red chili powder in their eyes or salt, and this blinds them so they can stun them to get them to move. Sometimes the driver will drive crazy and knock the animals down, and it causes injuries. Also, when it finally comes down to unloading the animals, the conditions that are appealing, 500,000 animals a year arrive at a slaughterhouse either dead or injured, and that means they are not acceptable for slaughter. Other animals are half dead but are also still just picked up and thrown down on the concrete. Many have broken limbs but are further injured when they are getting unloaded. The handlers don't bother with kind or care because they figure that they're just going under the knife anyways. There are a few methods of slaughter that are practiced. and not one is humane in how it's supposed to be done. One is decapitating the animal. Another is the Hale method, where the neck is slit in 2.5 different spots and it'll bleed out. And then also burying the animal's head in the ground, which suffocates them. Cows are not allowed to roam free in pastures and care for their young for lifelong friendships with one another. They also play games and have a wide range of emotion and demonstrate characteristics such as vanity and actions such as holding grudges like humans. They are generally associated with humans, but most cows raised for the milk industry are intensely confined and are not allowed to nurse their calves, even for one day. They are treated as little more than milk-producing machines and are genetically multiple and full of antibiotics and hormones that force them to produce milk. On average, a cow is supposed to produce 16 pounds of milk a day to supply for their calves, while the industry makes them produce over 50 pounds a day, which is over 16,000 pounds in 1 year. Also, the production of milk, cow's milk has 3 times the protein as humans do. So autism and schizophrenia in children is, oh my god, is related to cow's milk. And also in America we drink milk more often, and it said we are supposed to have 2 cups a day, but it does create problems. So in conclusion, I hope that I informed you about the slaughterhouse and also the cruelty to animals. And I'm not trying to persuade you guys to not eat meat or anything, but I just feel like this is something we should all be informed on.